When I was asked to share my thoughts about the topic of speaking up, I wanted to find a quote that really centered on the concept of finding your voice and sharing your opinions. It was a very interesting and telling exercise. What I observed was that there were so many quotes that coupled the concept of speaking up with courage. One that really stood out to me was a quote from Winston Churchill, and it goes like this: "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen." What I really like about this quote is that it recognizes that speaking up takes courage, and that there's also a vulnerability in sitting down and listening to the feedback. And it got me thinking, why does it take courage to speak up? What is it about speaking up that's so hard? And what do we do that discourages people from speaking up? I think there are three reasons. The first reason is that the process of speaking up and providing feedback is not easy and simple. When we started this work, the Experience team did a diagnostic, and we found over 10 channels within Humana at Home where associates can give feedback. Our process today is not streamlined, it's siloed, and having too many channels to give feedback is just as ineffective and inefficient as not having enough channels. So what can we do better? The second reason is that there's lack of visibility and accountability when feedback is given. Nothing is more discouraging when someone gives feedback and doesn't know what happens with it. Did that person receive it? Who read it? Do they agree with it? And so if you even think about the word feedback, its origin comes from when a cable has its currents running through it to the end, reverses, and that current feeds back into the system. So what can we do to take this feedback, feed back onto the system, and make things better? And regarding the topic of accountability, without accountability, our associates feel like nothing's going to change. So why should I bother giving feedback? So what can we do to make this better? And lastly, and I think perhaps most importantly, the process of giving feedback is an emotionally charged experience. Many of our associates may feel that there's lack of trust, there's lack of safety and security. What does it really matter? Do I matter? There's fear of retaliation, fear that giving feedback may signal lack of adaptability or lack of buy-in to the model, fear of getting riffed. So how can we make this better? Some of you may not know this about me, but I'm a pediatric transplant cardiologist by training, and I've worked in the digital health industry for the past 10 years. All of my training and my experience has been really focused on identifying signals within the ecosystem, whether that be the human body, a digital solution, or a team. What I've been trained to do is to look at these signals and create insights, and then apply these insights to make things better, with intention, with empathy, and with compassion. And I really want to apply these exact same principles to the concept of speaking up. So the Experience team and I have been working on these various topics, and we want to share some initial thoughts. First of all, when it comes to ease, we have to simplify the process. We're currently evaluating all the different channels to see which channels are effective, which are efficient, and which channels do our associates want to use. So we'll be coming back with a proposal in the next few weeks. Secondly, we want to create more visibility into the feedback process. If feedback is provided, we have to show what's being done with that feedback, who's reviewing it, and also what's the disposition of the outcome. And we also want to create transparency, because that's really important for our associates to feel seen and heard. And we also want to create a culture of accountability for all of us, not just for our leaders, but for all associates, because it's super important for our associates to feel like they're part of the solution. So more to come on this in the next few weeks as well. And lastly, creating an environment where all associates with diverse perspectives can provide feedback in a secure and safe environment is incredibly important. So how do we create a feedback-rich culture that really celebrates, honors, and respects feedback and recognizes feedback as a gift? Now, I wish I had an easy answer here or an easy solution, but I don't. And I wish I could tell you that we're going to create the perfect system and that culture is going to change overnight, but we know that this will take time. But what I can tell you is that you have my personal commitment and the commitment of the Experience team that we will build a better system. And we will do this with intention, with empathy, and with compassion. But we need your help and have three asks of you. The first one is this: At the end of today, you'll be getting a survey on feedback. We want to know what your preferences are on how to give feedback, how often, what does it mean to feel seen and heard? What does visibility look like? Please take 5 minutes of your day to answer this survey. It'll be an incredible gift to the team, and thank you in advance. Secondly, my hope is that one day we'll reach a culture where giving feedback is so easy and so rewarding that we will no longer need courage to give feedback. Until we get there, my ask of you is still to be courageous, to still give us feedback, because without that feedback, we can't make the system better. And lastly, your experience at Humana matters. You matter. You are our healers, you are our helpers, you are our heroes. You're the heart and soul of care management. At any time during your experience here at Humana, you feel like you are not being heard, please reach out to your leaders or reach out to me directly. My phone and my email is always on. I want to leave you with a quote from Michelle Obama. Every day, you have the power to choose our better history by opening your hearts and minds and by speaking up for what you know is right. I love this quote because it touches on the concept of choosing our better history. If each of us can do one thing to improve this process, we collectively can choose our better history, because better is good. Thank you.